Hello screenwriters, and welcome to another video where we take a look at screenplay formatting. If you've been watching our YouTube page, you will see that we've been doing something called First Impressions, where we really take a look at the beginning of an iconic movie, the first handful of pages, where not only do we see how the movie gets kicked off, but we see what has changed. I think there's no part of the movie that gets rewritten more than the first couple of pages. That is the first impression for a reader, an executive, and of course, eventually the audience in the theater. So even the shooting script is different from the final edit. So it's been really a lot of fun to see what has been changed or omitted entirely between that final shooting draft and the final polished edit. The most recent film we covered was 1996's original Scream, a movie that really took the world by storm when it came out and of course led to sequel after sequel after sequel. And now many years later, another sequel. But how did that movie get started? And I gotta say, I was so impressed at looking at the screenplay. I had so many great things to say about it. And looking back, when I watched this movie for the first time in the 90s, it kind of wasn't my cup of tea. I thought it was a good movie. It was an enjoyable movie, but I don't think I watched any of the sequels, and I didn't regard it as a great movie or anything like that. But at looking at the screenplay, I found a brand new appreciation for it. We do want to talk about a specific element of screenplay writing, of formatting your screenplays. I want to take a look at location. Location is, of course, an important part of any story, but I think horror can be the most dependent on it, that you really need to establish your physical world that the story is taking place in. And I may be a little bit biased. I've been asked to speak at a number of different schools about horror writing, and I always do a big emphasis on finding and manifesting a creepy location. And that was something that stood out very prominently in watching the first couple of minutes of this movie, and I wanted to see how much of that appeared on the screenplay, or was it a happy accident that happened in the film? And of course, if it is written in the screenplay, how is it written in the screenplay? So a question I have for you is if you have any ideas for scenes that are kind of iconic, maybe because of the setting that they're in, please send me those suggestions and we'll take a look at that screenplay together. Don't forget, just a couple of weeks ago when we did that video on how to write a good character description, we took a look at Hannibal Lecter's cell, what the location description was for that cell, because that location really informed what we thought of that character. And though I just gave two horror-related examples, hey, what's Madison County without its bridges? Every single genre uses locations, and they use them for a reason. So don't limit your suggestions to just horror movies. And if you're serious about taking your own writing to the next level, seriously consider going to thecraftcourse.com, which is put together by one of my best friends, Max Tim. He is a consultant with the International Screenwriters Association, and he's put together a number of different courses that you could go through to really take your writing to the next level. Don't hesitate to take a look, even just browse around that page for a little bit, thecraftcourse.com. And if you want to just first watch this straight through with the side-by-side comparison of the edited screenplay along with the film, there is a link in the description below that has just that before we get into the analysis breakdown. But here we go. Okay, so first off, we just covered recently, character descriptions. I love this one. Casey Becker, young girl, no more than 16, a friendly face with innocent eyes. It really doesn't say too much. I think, you get her age, obviously, but a friendly face with innocent eyes, you immediately feel a sense of compassion for this person. And at this point, you've only read the cover page. It says Scream, and then you find out that there's this friendly face with innocent eyes. I like that description, that although it's physical, it gives you more than just a physical description.
Yes?
Who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
What number is this?
What number are you trying to reach?
I don't know.
Well, I think you have the wrong number.
Do I?
It happens. Take it easy.
Okay, so this is the first time, as we talk about locations, this is the first time we see a window. And this is an important thing because we will see nothing but windows over and over and over again. They do a great job of establishing the fact that she's kind of in a fishbowl, that really anybody can look in on her. None of the curtains are closed. And we've really seen no description at all of the house she's in, except for right here, a nice house, affluent. We get the idea that it's a big house, but really there's not much else to it. It's not beating you over the head with the idea that it's cavernous. You could really embellish this more to make it feel cold and isolating and maybe not cozy. I would put some of that type of description in here because, again, we want to establish tone. So let's see if there's more location description coming up.
Hello?
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
so
I
again,
guess I
pausing it
don't
here
know.
because we've got two
So
things
why'd
going
you
on,
do-
and I guess I'll get into a little bit of filmmaking, although this does not appear in the screenplay at all. One, again, bigger open window now, right off to her right shoulder, the glass door, and also we have the Dutch angle of the cameras tilted. We're only a couple seconds into this, and we can already see that something is amiss.
So why'd you dial it again?
To apologize.
You're forgiven. Bye now.
Wait, don't hang up.
The camera is sweeping around, and I love this shot because our eyes are completely drawn to what's behind her. I mean, it is the horror movie trope, but it works. It absolutely works. Which is why it exists today still. We are expecting or curious if we will see something move in the background there that is really well framed, and it's worth pointing out that, yes, it is written into the screenplay here, standing in front of sliding glass doors. It's pitch black outside. Again, I might play with that a little bit more if I was writing this description, that it's not pitch black outside. Pitch black means just completely dark. Maybe just that it's difficult to see outside. There are out of focus shapes in the distance, something along those lines. And here is the fun line that you have to encounter as a writer, because you don't want to direct a shot. You don't want to say angle on, close up on, cut to. However, if you can create a sense of unease in the reader, do what you have to do to make that happen. As long as you're not getting too specific or too technical in the descriptions, because this just says she's standing in front of a sliding glass door, it's pitch black outside. It does not say she's taking up just a portion of the frame with the black void of outside taking up the others. It really does leave it open to interpretation.
They've got 900 numbers for that. See ya.
And again, they linger on the glass door. She exits frame. That's not in the screenplay, but that's awesome. And now we finally are outside Casey's house, night establishing. Big country home with huge sprawling full lawn of big oak trees. It sits alone with no neighbors in sight. Okay, so that, of course, is a great thing when you think of a horror movie. We don't know exactly. I mean, this is probably suburbia, but we don't know, really. There could be a neighbor just outside of their hedge, but just outside of that hedge might be just far enough for her to be not so safe anymore. The camera tilts down, and we see that there's a rope swing on the tree that's moving. Who moved that? Was it the breeze? Was it the killer? Was it whoever was on the phone? There's no mention of that in the screenplay, but it is a nice moment. And again, something that you could put in the screenplay.
Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you gotta love how the camera comes in and frames the shot with the block of knives in the foreground. Again, just foreshadowing some spookiness, some, again, horror movie cliche tropes that we all... And most people that are watching a horror movie are watching because they already love horror movies, so it's fine to lean into that kind of stuff. Also, I just want to take a moment to point out how tightly this is written. There does not seem to be a word that is missed from a dialogue standpoint. Also, when you can keep it mostly to dialogue, those pages are prettier. Nice white open margins. It makes it a much faster read. People are always excited and appreciative of that when they have to read a screenplay, when they have to read a stack of screenplays. So I don't know, the screenwriter Kevin Williamson, did he just do a ton of rewrites on this until he got to this point? Did they do table reads? Did he work with director Wes Craven to really narrow it down to what was going to be what we absolutely need? But you see, there really is not nearly as many omissions as we see in some of the previous videos that we've put out. Like the opening of The Matrix has big chunks that are removed for the purpose of pacing primarily.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters?
Yeah.
What's yours?
Guess.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one where the guy had knives for fingers?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy, that's right. I like that movie. It was scary.
Wow, well, the first one was, but the rest sucked.
So you gotta...
So again, even here we see more windows, even though they're off in the distance. We're also establishing that she's alone in this house, which is something that's not specifically said, but it's very apparent. We see her walking through this house and there's no sign of anybody else. Nobody else is answering the phone and saying, hey, you've got a phone call. That is something that is unspoken but established.
You got a boyfriend?
Why? You want to ask me out on a date?
Maybe. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
What did you say?
Great moment, great tonal shift right there. And again, we make sure we keep that window filling up half the frame. And though the screenplay says that she at this moment should be facing the door, we are the ones that are facing the door inherently. The dog barking is not in the screenplay, but it is a really good thing that maybe should have been in there. So, something to give her another inkling that, ooh, there might be something or someone outside right now.
I want to know who I'm talking to.
That's not what you said.
What do you think I said? What?
Here we see another look at the outside grounds, a bigger look around from the swimming pool. I guess one thing that we establish is that it is still dark, even with the lights on. Again, I think I would have drawn this out. I always preach so much about being economical and minimalist with your screenwriting, but I don't know, maybe it's my own bias, but I love to get really into the weeds, literally, I guess, with writing a location description when you can get more tension out of that description.
Look, I gotta go.
Wait,
Also, I mean, come on. Why would she shut the light off? Leave the light on, not only because that's what somebody would do if they're freaked out that somebody might be outside, but also lights make shadows, and shadows can lead to other creepy sights and feelings.
thought we were going to go out.
Nah, I don't think so.
Don't hang up on me.
Yes?
I told you not to hang up on me.
What do you want?
To talk.
Well, dial someone else, okay?
Okay, so here's the first straight up eliminated line that means something that matters. Are you getting scared, says the man on the other end of the phone, and no, bored, says Casey. This is a great thing to have cut. There's a great lesson here, because if your character seems aloof at the situation, it can make the audience not care as well. So I don't know why Casey would play it off like this. Maybe she's trying to antagonize the person on the other end of the line. That could take the audience out of it as well. We can sometimes mirror the intentions and the attitudes of the person that we're supposed to identify with in a screenplay. So don't cut yourself off at the knees when you have done a good job to this point building suspense. So good job cutting that out.
Listen!
No, you listen, you little... You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand? Yeah,
Is this some kind of joke?
more of a game, really. Can you handle that? Blondie.
So that's awesome. Blondie. It's so intimidating because obviously this person is not just a wrong number. He knows who she is. Okay, so here we go. Casey eyes the glass doors. Again, glass doors. Looks up to the hallway to the front doors, moving to it. It's unlocked. She bolts it. This allows us to really get a feel for the location because we are walking with her, rushing with her from one place to the next, getting to see much of the house.
Can you see me?
Listen, I am 2 seconds away from calling the police.
They'd never make it in time. We're out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, so there's another way to do a location description that is not part of a description. It's part of dialogue. We're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's being overt at this point, but that's what you need. And so there you have it. The very opening of 1996's Scream, a movie that went on to be very successful and, of course, spawned a ton of sequels. It was made for just $14 million and went on to gross $103 million domestically and another $70 million internationally. Of course, horror movies are known as a genre where you don't need to spend a lot of money to be successful. Sadly, unfortunately, they're also known as a genre where you don't have to write a good script to at least recover your money. But here's what can happen if you do write a great script you more than recover your money. You set yourself up for a long screenwriting career. Don't forget to check out thecraftscourse.com to see if maybe one of us can be as good of a writer as Kevin Williamson. Don't forget to drop us a line when it comes to locations and specific scenes you want me to take a look at in a future video. The links for our Twitter and Facebook are just down below. As always, thank you, Final Draft, for creating my favorite screenwriting software. And until then, that's a wrap, and I'll see you on the next one.